Hey guys, welcome on back to the Anchorage, and it's been 10 years. Would you believe 10 years for these guys, for Disroot and everything like that? And earlier today, they actually posted out a special blog post that was celebrating all of that. So we're going to be going over and we're going to be going and taking a look at that. So let's do that. We've got the Disroot blog right here, and I've got it blown up so we can kind of see everything. And so we've got a nice picture here that's kind of nice. And we can see that we've got some buildings, we've got some peepers in the back. We got people trying to peep in. All right. So 10 years of Disroot. So 10 years of Disroot while the world is on fire. Disroot began to take shape back in 2015, 10 years ago. I'm going to just come off with just some key points that I found in the article, in the blog article. I might not touch on everything, but I'm going to try to touch on everything that I actually found. If you want to actually read all of this, I have it linked down below, and you can go ahead and do that. So they were born, modest but determined, to attempt to offer digital tools that do not sell our privacy, freedom, and choice to the highest bidder. Schmoodle, applesauce, macroflop, and similar people, maybe? Scamazon? Whatever. But, you know, we've had a lot of things going on, such as sponsored content, digital exhibitionism. Yeah, some politicians to try to say that 10 times fast. And glorification of fame is the new standard. It absolutely is in my eyes. Short content format has taken over the world. Tell me about it. AI slop is slowly taking over the internet. Slowly? Perhaps. So let's go over a few points in, that's happened over the past 10 years. So, in 2016, so to become truly independent and make a step towards self-sustainability, Disroot decided to run Disroot off of their own hardware. They also migrated from OwnCloud to Nextcloud, which I believe is a far superior piece of software. And they were doubling down on free software. Following a year in 2017, well, they came out with a brand new website. They launched the how-to guides, how-tos and the guides, and they became a formal foundation. So the project was digging in for the long haul, as it says right there. In 2018, they added some extra servers, shutting down their Matrix instance. They had a Matrix chat instance. They shut that down. They said it was a tough but necessary and correct decision. I will go along with them on that, mainly because, yeah, a tough decision to leave because Matrix is somewhat very popular. And they said it was a correct decision. And I can only see that as it was correct for them. I mean, I happen to like it myself. I am also considering running my own home server because of everything that's going on with the matrix.org website, and but that's a different thing altogether. So in 2019, of course, they said Notre Dame burned. Well, yep, did that. The project took a more political turn. It began donating to FOSS projects. So that would be free and open source projects. And they finally published their mission statement. So in 2020, well, that was when the pandemic exposed everything, the koofy koofs. So Disroot became a refuge. They shut down their diaspora instance, which I actually had an account on there, but I wasn't using it, and I was hoping to get it back. But then this was before they shut it down, and but they said that they're working on something new, and I'm like, ooh, this sounds interesting. They launched their Koofy Koof kit and began working on encrypted mail storage. So in 21, between all the pokey pokes, military stuff, and everything like that, they launched fe.disroot, which was the replacement for Diaspora. They basically call it Disroot, which we are out on. My links are down below for both the Anchorage and for myself. And so they became fully integrated with the Fediverse with this. It is a Pleroma backend, similar to Mastodon and similar stuff. But their front end is actually Coma. That's the name of the software. And so they did that. And they have their Lacquer project, or the mail encryption project they call Lacquer, receiving funding from NLNET, NLNet, I'll call that. So by that point, Disroot wasn't just reacting anymore, it was building proactively. So in 22, they switched their webmail software to Roundcube, and they started their first real test of Lacquer, which is a mailbox encryption on the Disroot.org infrastructure. So they were basically preparing for the long term. So in 23, 2 years ago, they migrated their Git solution from Gitea to ForgeJo. So it's a community-driven fork. So they were, they're starting to redefine. They started to redefine the way that they organize their work. So last year in 24, they said it got pretty intense. They provided a Lemmy instance called Describe, which is a link aggregator and discussion forum similar to Reddit. So it's kind of like their answer to Reddit. But it's open source and, most importantly, federated with the Fediverse. And, I happen to use that here for all of my announcements, and I also do stuff for Switch to Linux and everything like that. So they still have a Fediverse presence, even though they themselves are no longer on it on their own. Let's see. They also deployed Movim as a new XMPP web chat. And they provided an instance of Libre Translate. That one sounds familiar. Did I have something to do with that? I don't know. Yes, I did. But anyhow, and then they finally got into this year. So the world remains on edge. Disroot hasn't stopped. So they are more motivated and determined than ever before, and will continue to strive for free, open, and ethical internet until the last TCP packet. Getting kind of geeky, nerdy, techie there, but you get it. Yeah, to the last packet goes through, and the interwebs goes kaput. So 10 years. So, and they say themselves, Disroot isn't perfect. It doesn't try to be, but it's one of those necessary oddities, a network built from the bottom up, non-profit, ownerless, algorithm-free, and in today's world, that is something. So this is really good. And yeah, it's been a very busy couple of years. And I say couple like it's, couple and stuff like that. But anyhow. So, yeah, it's been 10, you could say long, you could say short, you could say bad, you could say good. It all depends on your perspective of things. I'm saying it's looking up with all the garbage that's out there, and everybody that's wanting to get into our lives, all the way down to our stinking phones and stuff like that. Me, I hate using my phone for just about anything outside of phone calls and texts. Granted, that's not always the case, so I am very, very, very picky on what I put on here, and try to keep my usage on that. I do not live my life on my phone. I know people that do, but anyhow, I'm very desktop computer related. It's what I grew up with. I mean, heck, I started on, like, a Sinclair Spectrum and a TRS-80, moving on to Apple II, through that series before getting into the DOS world, and then Windows, and then, more Windows and Windows and Windows and Windows, and then, 12 years ago, Linux. So, namely Linux Mint. And then years later on, I got involved with switch to Linux out on YouTube and stuff like that. So it's, this is just a little briefy, whatever, about myself. And, it's been 10 years for Disroot, providing these web services, and I've been using them, and I have been a supporter of them for, I don't know how many years at this point. At least 3, I guess. I don't know. I go through Patreon, and all of my contributorships are via Patreon. And I know the Disroot is, they're in discussions about moving away from Patreon because of Patreon politics or whatever. I don't know. But all of mine are in one central area, and I mean, for myself, I'd like it to stay there. I don't want to have to, contribute to this guy and then contribute to that guy and then that guy over there, using all different methods. I like it all in one spot. But, saying, one spot for content providers and services and stuff like that. But in any sense. Anyhow, it's been 10 good years, and they've come a long way since the beginning. And, just recently, in the past few months, they actually relaunched the website, and which is a lot less protest driven and stuff like that. And I totally get why they did that originally and stuff like that. It'd be like, look at all the mainstream and everything, and what it was causing everybody to do. They were causing them to protest. They were causing them to rebel. They were, causing a lot of people that want privacy, that want free and open source software, whether they knew it or not. That's essentially what they may have wanted. They wanted a simpler, easier way to get work done. And Disroot has taken that, and they have, I don't want to say they've led the charge, but it seems like they kind of sort of have. So I became a contributor for them, and I do videos such as this, and especially when they do updates to their systems and stuff like that. You'll notice I'm using an older border graphic here. I can tell from the from that up there, because the gray on it. It's an older one, but it's still valid. So there we go. And I started doing videos for them, and you can see see my Disquest playlists on YouTube and Rumble, and you can see all of that and everything. And you can also see it right here where you're watching. Odyssey, however, doesn't appear to do playlists, so you can just look for them there. That's fine. So that is going to be everything from me, and it's been a great 10 years, and hopefully the next 10 are even better. Thank you very much. Skál. Victory.